Love this place. So fun.
You're on.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to open our meeting, call it to order. Can you join me in a pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, these little gooseneck things. Good evening. I'm going to open up our agenda. Thank you for coming. Tonight we have a medium-length agenda, I think. Far as I know, we do not have someone who's going to speak during public comment. People have chosen to speak under the agenda item, which is fine, absolutely fine. So we're going to have Adam Haywood, who's the chair of the Community Preservation Committee, first on the agenda to talk about current vacancies on the committee. So for those of you watching at home, this is your chance to sign up if you're interested, or send a letter in and introduce Adam Haywood.
Good evening. Thanks for taking the time to hear me.
Of course.
So we've got two vacancies on our board. One is the Affordable Housing Task Force, and the other one is the Open Spaces Committee, which I understand no longer exists and has been rolled into the Recreation Committee. As far as the Affordable Housing Task Force, is it officially disbanded or not? But it came up at our last meeting, and we'd like to fill these spots, and that appears, according to the bylaw, to fall on to you guys.
Okay.
So I'm here to ask to fill those spots. I'm happy to assist any ways possible.
Okay.
We had some discussion back and forth about, the board was kind of split whether we pull another person from the rec committee and another person from the housing authority, whether we do public members, whether we do somebody who's tasked with a particular thing. It was kind of all over the place.
Okay.
So-
And so this is kind of your busy season, like starting now in the fall, right? Leading up to town meeting, you review
Yes.
projects that people want to go to town meeting,
Correct.
right? So how often do you meet per month on average?
We've been doing once a month.
Okay, that's reasonable. Okay. And people can still Zoom in if they're unable to make it on a night, can they attend by Zoom? Okay. How long do your meetings last?
I don't know. First one was a half an hour, and the next one was 2 hours. So
Okay, all right, so it varies.
That's what's on there.
All right, all right. And so for people that are interested in, again, this is the committee that reviews proposals to use the CPA money, right? CPC money. CPC is a committee, CPA is the money. And so they review the proposals and they make recommendations about whether or not these proposals are ready to go forward to a town meeting.
Yep.
Pretty much, yes. Well,
Nailed
it. Great. That's a great task. Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. Next, if we have a presentation by Will Courtney from our Neighbors Table. It says food security, but we're really talking about food, right? Yeah, I know. I thought about when I saw the word security on the agenda, I was like, okay, am I supposed to hide my food? No. Oh, please come up to the microphone. Thank you for coming in to talk to us.
I appreciate you having us. So my name is Will Courtney. I'm with Our Neighbors Table. If you don't know who Our Neighbors Table is, it's the regional food access organization that's helping folks who need food. Oh, thank you. And so we're just going out to give a very short presentation to different communities because we feel like community food security, what the definition of that is people have reliable access to enough healthy food today and tomorrow. They don't have to worry about it. That is food security, and we have different metrics that measure that. But essentially what we're trying to do, we serve 12 communities in the region. We're based in Amesbury and Salisbury. We support Groveland COA. We support Merrimack. We go up to Rowley. This general greater Newburyport region. We're trying to expand food security, ultimately build a food secure region, which nobody's ever done. And the first thing we have to do is tell people there's an issue. And so the fact is, it's everywhere. And I have a couple of stats, and the reason I'm just walking is because my printer did not
Cooperate?
operate today.
been there.
And so I will send this to you. But
Okay.
just for a quick snapshot in Groveland, you have about 6,700 people here. About 470 of them would be considered food insecure, which means their income would not match up to what they need to have reliable access to food. That is all walks of life. It's driven by a few different factors that has grown. It's the rising cost of living. We know the grocery store is expensive. We know housing is expensive. And then public support that was really high during COVID has come way down. So people who qualify for SNAP, which is food stamps, are, they're more and more who are qualifying. They're not getting enough. And so there's a few different ways we're trying to fix this. The first thing we do is we try to our mission is to serve with respect and dignity. So we have 2 free markets. If anybody around here needed food, they could come to Salisbury or Amesbury. As long as they can prove that they live here, they can shop for free every week. Fresh vegetables, milk, eggs, meats, not just things that are sort of easy to store. A lot of folks in Groveland are also using the food pantries in Haverhill. Sacred Hearts Parish and several others. They're doing it in, for instance, Sacred Hearts is out of a 3-bay garage at a parish, all volunteer, outside year-round. We're trying to do something a little better. The second step of it is called the Seacoast Regional Food Hub, which is a huge warehouse, 7,000 square feet in Salisbury. That is going to store more food because none of these folks can store anything. I believe Alyssa is here. Hi, Alyssa. Alyssa and I have been chatting about this because we support her program. About 1/3 of all food goes to landfills. We want to get those trucks whose load gets rejected for a ripped box or something and can drop off that food with us. We have 3 1,000 square foot freezer, a dairy cooler, and a produce cooler. Huge. A lot of partners are now storing stuff with us. And ultimately, by next year, we're hoping to capture a lot of the food that does just go straight to the landfill that could go to other people. There's just no place to put it. Also, folks are being able to access their food through us. So the Greater Boston Food Bank supplies most of our food. Most of these providers are going into Boston. What we're able to do, for instance, for Alyssa's program is to bring the food to her. We get it delivered to us. We bring it up once a week for her pantry. So we're trying to expand access to surplus food so people can get what they need. And the last thing we're doing is really just trying to get out into communities and let them know. So we actually have an active group of about 500 volunteers. But as we do this, there's going to be folks who want to get involved, whether it's volunteering, whether it's just learning about it. Maybe they want to support financially, but this is not a fundraising pitch. This is just sort of letting people know that this is all happening. So just a couple of very quick other little snapshots of what's happening here. Your poverty rate is about 13.2%, but at Bagnall, about 1 in every 8 kids is food insecure. So chances are, if you have a kid in school, they know somebody who's struggling to get food. Pentucket, it goes up because of sort of the regional. It's about 17%, 18%. So almost 1 in 5, about 1 in 6 at Pentucket needs help with food. They're getting summer lunch program, which we bridge in the summer. That's 10 meals a week per kid that goes away. We're trying to supply all of that. And the last thing we're doing that applies to Groveland is the COAs. We're trying to, I believe, Alyssa, you said about 20 people a week? And so Alyssa has filled me in her program of that it's basically an open pantry. People can come anytime during the day if they need food. And this is, certainly a lot of elderly folks. I know you do also home delivery as well. If that's not enough, they can come to Amesbury or Salisbury and get what they need. What we hope to do is, if Alyssa has needs that are growing, we'll supply more. We're doing an integrated market soon in Georgetown. That will be available as well. But ultimately, we just feel like everybody deserves to have enough food. There's plenty of resources in this region, and we just want people to be aware that there are a lot of people, business people who aren't making enough money, people who get divorced, suddenly don't have enough to afford their house and feed their kids. It could be somebody who's suddenly gotten medical bills. Now, your income doesn't match what you can afford, and we see a lot of folks who just suddenly were fine, now they have medical bills. So this is what we're facing, this is what's sort of happening in your community. We want to make you aware, and if there's anything we can do that you see that we can help with, please reach out to us, and I'll make sure you have all our contact information, so.
So your major market or your site is in,
Is in Salisbury,
Salisbury.
on Route 1, and in
Okay.
Amesbury, on Main Street in Amesbury.
Okay.
We both of them serve, serve about a total of 1,700 households a week. And I can tell you, Bill over in Haverhill, that's supporting a lot of Groveland folks, is doing more than that. Our need's gone up about 30% this year.
okay, and so folks that want to access this just have to show proof of residency?
Show up with an envelope, a bill.
Okay,
and
that
we'll get
shows
you in.
you
And
live in
actually, if
the
you
town.
don't have it, we'll say, come back next time, but get what you need.
Okay,
And the only things we ration are milk, eggs, and some of the meats. Everything else, take whatever you need. We just assume if you take that much, you need it, and we take the honor system.
okay,
So, as if anybody remembers in Salisbury, there was an old Fraser Pontiac on Route 1, and we're in that big old building, big triangle, and we've done a $7.8 million capital campaign. We're getting close to the end, but we've had a lot of public support from the local legislators and folks, and a lot of selectmen and whatnot have come down to actually do a tour of it. So if you're ever interested in just checking it out, we're happy to show you around.
oh, absolutely, that would be wonderful. Is there anything that, other than us like putting this on our website, the address and information, is there anything that towns are doing to help you out?
I think,
on a
we can get a
semi-annual
flyer.
basis?
Well, I would love to get a flyer that maybe you could just hang, and I think, but Alyssa, do you have resources? I know you have your newsletter? Okay, so we're promoting through the COA. I know she does mostly the 60 and over population, but we can certainly make sure you have links and something you could hand out to somebody who would need it. We're also going to reach out to some of the churches and some of that as well.
Okay, and are you connected with the schools? Because you said that there's 1 in 8 children?
So we are not directly connected to the schools. We just know there's an issue there. What we do is provide that summer lunch program. I don't know how many folks from Groveland are coming all the way down to Salisbury and Amesbury.
Right.
They can, but these are the resources we're trying to expand. Basically, our goal is 2029 to get all of this, and that means educating public, making sure the police, the fire that run into folks know where to send them. Physicians, we've worked with a lot of physicians as well because they're doing a lot of that screening.
Okay,
And at the schools, they're doing some of that as well. So we just want to make sure they know that somebody is running out of food. Like in fact, in Salisbury and a couple of other communities, they actually have small pantries within the schools. So,
okay. So we'll go through the board. Do you mind if the board has a chance to ask
please.
you any questions? Selectman Watson?
Doesn't the Council on Aging still sponsor the bus going down there periodically to Amesbury?
I'll defer to you, Alyssa, if you'd like to say a couple things.
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually are going to Our Neighbors Table this Thursday, 12 o'clock. That ride is free, so we go once a month as a scheduled van trip. We just need people to RSVP because there are limited seats on the van so that we can make that happen. And as Will said, it's a pretty easy process. It is exactly the same as going to a grocery store when we have our weekly van trips over to River's Edge over there. So that is free. And then just to expand a little bit about what we're doing at the COA while I'm up here is that about I would say between 95, 98% of all of our food that the pantry gets is from Our Neighbors Table. So they deliver to us on Wednesday, exactly as Will said, that we make sure that at minimum we have enough bread, eggs, and meat and vegetables for all of our people. So that could also be canned vegetables, fresh produce, frozen meat, cheese. Everything that we could possibly ask for is coming from them, in addition to the community donations that come in as well. Again, that's once a week that our delivery comes in, but people are more than welcome to shop anytime that the COA office is open, which is essentially Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4 p.m., Friday, 8 to 12 p.m. And we do home delivery as well for our older adults that may not be able to come to our pantry or our neighbor's table, that we have volunteers that make our weekly phone calls to people. We literally go down the list, read everything, our inventory, and so it's still, they are still having that ability to choose what they want in the grocery bags, and then we have volunteers deliver groceries to them.
Thank you.
Service I can also mention is we do.
If you could
SNAP
use,
support.
if you, when,
yeah, I'm sorry.
I hate
So-
to keep telling you, speaking of the mic, the reason is because it won't go through the
Oh,
television.
they won't hear you. Okay, yeah, no.
Yes, like we can hear you.
Yeah, no, we want,
But the
my job is
television
communication. I want to
viewers
get the
would
word out.
not hear you. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
One other service we have is just SNAP support. So a lot of folks, more than half typically of the folks who qualify for food stamps don't apply in a way that they get either qualify or they don't realize they qualify or they qualify for more. We have a person who is going to various COAs. In fact, I don't know if she's ever been, is our SNAP support person? Nancy has come here. She will help people reapply. You suddenly have medical bills, this or that. She can raise somebody's household's food budget by $250 a month, which is like a game changer for a lot of people, just by simply helping them with the paperwork that can be challenging. So that's another service we're able to provide folks here. If they are low income, they may be surprised what they qualify for, and this is money we're all paying taxes into. So, and the money that goes back to them will then go into local markets and local grocery stores. So it goes back into the economy.
Very good. Ed, do you- okay. Mark?
No, it sounds like a great program. Glad to hear it. So,
Yeah, just please, if anybody needs help, let them know.
Yeah. Jason?
Yes, thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you.
Becky?
Yes, want to echo that. Thank you so much, because I think sometimes, we look at the news and it doesn't always seem like it happens here. So I think you bring a lot of light saying, no, it does happen here, and some people are just down and out, right? You may be okay one week, but not the next. So I just appreciate what you do and kind of erasing the stigma behind it, right? It's nothing to be
That's what
ashamed
it's
of.
about.
Things
It's
happen.
about folks, it's their darkest day when they
Right.
come. Many of them sit in their car. I don't know if I want to go in. I don't know, somebody else needs it more. We trying to take that away. And as soon as we created this free market model, we saw more people started to come.
Yep.
And I grew up in Amesbury, went to Amesbury High School, was the editor of the Daily News for a while, and covered a few Groveland Selectmen meetings back in the day. But I had no idea that even in my hometown, I'll be at the market and I'll see folks like, not that it matters, but I'll see somebody, my daughter will be there and say, oh, I didn't know they come in. I say, they're just here to shop just like they're shopping somewhere else. But you will be surprised by folks that you don't realize are struggling and don't want to ask for help, so.
Great. Well, we appreciate you really coming in, because I agree with you that you can't always see it. I work in a school. You can't see it in the school children, and you don't really see it in the adults. Nobody wears a sign that advertises that they didn't get enough food this week. So I think the open market concept is fantastic, and anything we can do to help you promote it, flyers, we can make them flyers, right? We can do that for
Great,
you.
yeah, and I have some templates, so I'll keep in touch with you guys and send you some information, and so we can make sure people who need it know where to go.
Very good. Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming down and spending time with us.
Thank you for your time.
Alyssa? Yes?
Wanted to do a quick announcement that the Groveland Fire and Police are holding a food drive this Saturday, November 2nd, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So people that would like to give a donation, they can go on down there, and that will be split between the COA Food Pantry, Sacred Hearts Food Pantry, and the Northeast Veterans Center as well. So again, thank you for that.
Yep. Thank you.
you all.
Thanks so much. Great. Okay. So next on our agenda is number 3 is the Family Connections Music and Movement Program, and our school committee member is here tonight. Oh, there you are. Is your first name Michael? Okay, Mike. Okay, thank you. We were like going, if you think it's a Mike, well, 99.9% sure his name is Michael. Thank you so much for coming down. I just wanted to kind of backfill. So we did have a couple of public comments at our last select board meeting regarding a new program at the school. There was some concern expressed. So we're not permitted as a board to interact. When someone comes to make public comment, we offer it to anybody at any time on any topic. you can come and share a concern or a thought or whatever it is you want to say. And then if it's something that we feel we need to follow up on, then we will put it forward to the next agenda, and that's indeed what happened. At the end of our meeting, when we have select board time, the discussion amongst the board members was that we would like to bring this forward to this agenda, understanding that we're not in charge of the school. We're not trying to interfere with the administration of the school. We were just reflecting concerns that were brought to us. And during the interim time between our prior meeting and now, I did reach out to the chair of the school committee to ask what role, if any, the school committee played in this program, and to ask, if there's more information that we should know. And from the school committee chair, I was informed that the school committee doesn't participate in the day-to-day activity within the school. So they don't vote on these things. They don't say, do this or don't do this. So they're like us, like an executive policy board. That being said, I did look around at the programming around us in other schools, and I did give a copy of the programming to my fellow select board members. I did note that in Merrimack, the programming is being held at the public library. I did note that in Newburyport, the programming is being held at the end of the school day, after school is out. But in Salisbury, they have a dedicated classroom within the building that they hold the programming in, at least from the November schedule that I saw. So, kind of understand what it is. I guess the question is, the school committee didn't participate at all in this at all. Okay, so have you received concerns on the school committee?
So, a couple things. So the first thing, I just want to apologize. I did receive an email October 11th, and as I was prepping for this from a parent, it went to my spam email. So I came in here thinking that I did not receive an email, but I did. So I apologize to that parent. I'm not sure who it is. We had a school committee meeting the same night as a select board meeting, and I know there was a lot of uproar on or comments that were made on Facebook regarding another issue, but on that night, we didn't see anybody. You are 100% right. The school committee doesn't have a say in this. We appoint the superintendent. We review the budget. We work on setting policy, and then we negotiate the contracts. So our role isn't really to monitor the day-to-day activities with this. The program itself, I can speak on like the safety concerns about this. Like just as a parent at the school where my son goes, I didn't have a safety concern with it personally, but that's more of a parent level outside the school committee. And then in terms of the program itself, I talked to someone that did it in a neighboring town, and the program was very beneficial for them. So they enjoyed it, and it was during the school day. So I know some of the things were outside the school, but this one in particular, community did it during the school day. And if you have any specific questions about the program, I have Dr. Conway from the assistant super, so he can answer questions.
Okay, so I can open it up for select board members. So the point that's being made is that this is a program that's brought in through the superintendent, through the assistant superintendent, Dr. Conway. Would we like to have Dr. Conway answer some questions?
I don't have any questions, no.
Yeah, I don't have any at this time.
Well, I think it was, I think maybe some people want to speak first.
Right, we had some people that want to speak on the agenda, so we can hold back from that then. So, like, is there anything, other information that you wanted to share with us at this time, or should I let we have a few, I think we have a couple of parents that would like to speak tonight as well.
Nothing else on my
Hang
end.
on, go on.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right, I'm just,
Yeah,
Yes.
I just want to thank you for coming, because I know you're
Yes.
not obligated to be here.
Yeah.
So I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, so when I'm new, so I'm learning my role as I go, newly elected, but when I met with Rebecca in the spring, and I talked about just, being open line of communication, so that's why I'm here.
we do really appreciate that, because we know also that the school committee members typically have more than just the school committee meetings that you have to go to. You have subcommittees and subcommittees of subcommittees. So definitely our deepest appreciation for being here. And if you could stay and hear the rest of the discussion, that would be
Sure.
helpful to us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so do we have one or two? Yeah, they're nodding there. All you need to do is come up, introduce yourself again with your address, and share with us anything you wish to do. Okay.
So first, I'm going to apologize for reading off my phone. I don't like this, but printer issues again today.
Okay, can you go for 1 second? Could we just hit that lights? I always forget to ask for that one light switch that's glaring down on you. It might help us see the phone better. Thank you.
Thank
There we
you.
go.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So I'm Amanda Gridley. I live at 5 Ashcroft Terrace. And forgive me for reading off of my phone. It is a little lengthy, but I'll get through it. Anybody, even without a child, will now easily know that the Bagnell side door will be open from 9:15 to 10:15 Wednesday mornings. If that's not a security breach in itself, I don't know what it is. It's really worrisome. Dr. Beat wrote in his very concerned email that was sent out to the district on the 18th about concerning parent behavior, quote, "At the end of the day, it is my duty to ensure the best and safest possible environment for our children and keep them safe," end quote. Well, I wish he would hold true to that statement because he has compromised the safety of our schools by inviting an outside group with people we know nothing about. I know a lot of people just say, oh, they're just caregivers or parents of toddler-aged kids, and that's, I was once one of them, but never in a school. Never not quarried, never not vetted. It's not okay. Forcing principals to make it work and chastising concerned parents and telling us that we are falsely claiming it would put their children at risk. Please explain to me how this doesn't put our children at risk. The concerned parents, including myself, are not spreading false narratives or fear. We're stating facts. The fact is, Mr. Day himself and his staff think they are capable of keeping our schools safe by using a desk to create a corridor to the bathroom to make sure the students don't use the bathroom during that time frame, and to ensure families don't enter or roam the halls, basically keeping them corralled if you wish. Another desk on the other side of the gym to prevent somebody from entering the hallway. That's the reality of it. I spoke to Dr. Day on the phone. I then had a meeting at Bagnell. He showed me his security protocols, and that is what it is. I want to tell you my experience when I was there literally right after telling me that the only children who use that bathroom that's going to be dedicated for this program is a very small special education class, which is maybe 5 to 10, he said. As I was there at Bagnell, a kindergartner went right into that bathroom from art and was there by himself. So I can't trust that statement from him. I think Mr. Day is doing the best he can with what he has to work with, while still trying to be accommodating. But if they want to be serious about school security, they need to find a means to do so. This is a state-funded grant. Find the money to pay for the SRO or a police detail for the hour for our children. That's not too much to ask for, in my opinion. Is the school going to be offering active shooter drills now? How is the school going to be strengthening its emergency preparedness? Parents can't even volunteer in their own children's classroom without a query, yet people are invited to our school. Parents have to be vetted at the door before entering, yet somebody can knock on the side gym door between 9:15 and 10:15 every Wednesday and will easily be let in with a smile. At the Page School, which I don't even want to discuss because it's worse, but they walk right through the front door and up to their library 4 times a week. Who's to say who's on the other side of the door? Certainly, they don't know. They can't even cross-reference with the registration list, which is not provided. I'm happy that changes were made 2 weeks ago, the morning of the first class, to reflect registration only, and for families of future Bagnell students and classes maxed at 10 registrants. That is a good start. However, you only have to register once for this event for the entire duration, not weekly, and there's no list to actually check whether they registered or not. So technically, nobody knows who's walking through the door. Nobody knows who is registered. There is no list. It's just a mere formality. I know I'm coming off that I'm not for this program, and that's just not the case. I think the CFCE does an amazing job with their program, and I have personally been to their classes since my son was an infant, and not one class was in school. I also want to give you some perspective of the CFCE North Shore calendar, which is not far from us. Please take a look at it when you can. I don't have it with me, I wish I did. But not one class on that very full calendar, very full classes, 3 to 5 classes a day, is not in a school. These towns include Georgetown, Boxford, Topsfield, Swampscott, Beverly, Middleton, Danvers, and Peabody all have their classes in a library, town hall, or even North Shore Mall. What's the big push to have this in a school? For toddlers to get more comfortable entering their future elementary school? There are many ways that can be done more safely. This isn't one of them. Before I conclude here, I understand that every school event can pose a safety issue, and I think that's a bigger issue in itself. But usually, those events are isolated. The parents are there. There's more eyes on kids. It's not just kids are in session and people are entering and exiting the school and you don't know them. We want to bring awareness that safety procedures are lacking, and when concerned parents want to voice their opinion about that, we should be able to do so without feeling in the wrong. To make parents feel like we don't have a say with what goes on during the school day creates a total lack of respect and communication. Please ask questions and please stay vigilant. I'm a concerned parent. Please don't judge me or label me as fear-mongering. We have every right to be in our feelings, especially with the increased violence in today's world. I want to reiterate that everything is okay until it's not. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there someone else who wants to speak? Okay.
Hello. My name is Savannah Labella, 316 Center Street in Groveland. I did speak a couple of weeks ago, and I still believe this public event should be hosted at a more appropriate venue, like some other locations are. And I want to be perfectly clear as well that this is not directed to the program itself or the caregivers and children attending. I grew up in one of the most diverse, kind of crime-ridden cities that you kind of can. Lynn, Massachusetts. I've seen stuff. I've been through it. I want to shield my children from that in any way possible. And having, it's that door, the small gym, there's zero visibility outside of that door. And I know if the same families are coming every week, that's one thing. But again, the quick knock on the door and just open, you don't know who's going to be on the other side of that door. The original concern was that it's a public event where registration was not required. The parameters of the event were changed afterwards, which I do thank you for. That was very promising. However, the fact still remains that an exterior door will be open to the public while school is in session. There is no visibility, and again, anybody could be on the other side of the door. I know our support here tonight is a little light. There are other parents who do feel this way. However, they are afraid of speaking out and being labeled as fear-mongering, or they don't want to cause a problem, and they do back us, but they just don't want that label on them. And honestly, I don't mind it. If I'm going to be vilified for questioning a school just about an event, and I'll take that, unfortunately. We shouldn't be penalized just for speaking out. So again, I appreciate the volunteers and all the school committee, and I do. I appreciate everything the school does for the kids. The main entrance, the security for that, from what I've witnessed, it's great. They have that big window there. You need to ring the bell. They see you, and then you have to show, ID when coming in. Mm-hmm. So again, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For me personally, to both of you, I know it takes courage to speak up when it's perceived that maybe the majority don't feel the same way. But my opinion, it's never wrong to advocate for your child. You're never wrong to ask a question, raise a concern about your own child. That's your biggest job, your most important task. And again, we have no authority, and we don't. We try not to interfere in the function of the school. We don't want to interfere in the function of the school. But I do know that this crossed over, that there were some calls to our police department, there were, comments at our public meeting. So it kind of crossed over into the town area, if you will, with a concern, and no one really knows for sure what will happen tomorrow, the next day, or the next day. All we do know is, looking back, that despite so many new protocols, we still have had problems in the schools, and it's a definite concern. We'd be foolish not to say that. We want our schools to be safe. We want our elementary school is the largest elementary school in the district. My opinion, the principal of the elementary school has a lot, right? Has a lot. And when I looked at the schedule of a lot of these great family programs, they're run in other areas, in gyms that are private that open up for it, libraries, public spaces. They are sometimes in a school, but a lot of times they're after the school day as well. So myself personally, this is not something the board would vote on, but I feel like it would be a good idea for the school to think about the concern that was raised and just consider if there is a way to facilitate the concern and still continue the program, either move it to outside the school day. I understand probably they want a gym type of atmosphere because it's a music and movement. I get that, and I think that it's great for young kids to have that. But I hear you. I hear your concern. Anybody else?
Yeah, a few comments. When this was presented with at our last meeting, I didn't realize that it was going to be an every week occurrence, unless I missed something in the paperwork. I thought it was just a one.
No, it's on the schedule.
Well, I see that now.
Okay.
But I'm talking about the last meeting.
Right, we didn't
I
know.
wasn't aware that it was going to be an every Wednesday occurrence. And in the email that we got from the principal, based on the last meeting, if this is something Groveland does not want to support, we can cancel. Well, we never got a chance to, because it wasn't on the agenda for the last meeting. It probably should have been. And then in the response from the superintendent, this programming helps prepare the youngest children in our communities for school, and it is supposed to teach them and their parents that school is safe, welcoming, nurturing environment. But Rowley's having it in a different location than a school. Newbury is, Merrimack, Newburyport, something called Ken Fitness. So how is that preparing them for school, and that the school is a safe environment if they're not having it in the school? And also, in the paperwork, it's age 2 to 6. Well, at 6 years of age, they're probably in kindergarten. And so that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, this beginning October 16th, Wednesdays, so it's going to be every Wednesday. We've already had a couple of them. But I think that we should have had it on the agenda for the last meeting, canceled until we got more information. And, but, so they've already had a couple. And, but it just doesn't make sense. These kids today are more prepared to be going to school with pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, before they hit the first grade. And I'm not sure that it's something that's needed, but.
So I just want to clarify Selectman Watson's comment that we could have voted this down at our last meeting. We could not. We don't have that authority, okay? And it came on to our notice through public comment. Yes, we'd seen some emails, but we didn't have full information. And as you can see, I researched and got our committee more information, both from the chair of the school committee. We have our school committee member here who was kind enough to spend a night with us. And we also have, if you like, Ed, we have Dr. McCoy, who is in charge of curriculum. If you had a specific question, that is the individual that you should ask the question of. That would be the person
All right,
who's...
I'll address this question.
Okay, so
in,
if you'd like to address, I can invite him up to...
In,
Are you addressing to Dr. McCoy?
sure.
Conway.
Did I say it? Well, I'm sorry. Conway, I'm so sorry. I apologize. Long week. It's okay, Suzanne, it's fine. Fair is fair. Go ahead. That's fine. If you would be so kind, we'd appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, well. There's my big faux pas.
Okay, a
That's the
couple
worst I do.
questions. In the email from the principal that was dated Monday, 10/7, it says, if this is something Groveland does not want to support, we can cancel. Well, what were they if it was going to be canceled, what were they looking for? Were they looking for a vote from the Board of Selectmen to cancel the program at that time, till we get more information?
So, Mr. Watson, I can't speak for what Mr. Day meant by what he
Okay,
emailed,
good.
to be fair, so.
Next question. This program helps prepare the youngest children in our communities for school, and it is supposed to teach them and their parents that school is safe, welcoming, nurturing environment. Can you explain that? If some of these communities are not holding it at the school, how can that be? And then also, same thing, it's open to children 2 to 6. So at 6, aren't they in kindergarten or
Wait,
pre-kindergarten?
so, Miss,
Which question would you
we
like me
could
to
do
answer?
one question at a time, please. So,
Well, all right.
what, the first question was, it's being held at
How is
other...
this program helps prepare the youngest children in our communities for school? It's supposed to teach them and their parents that school is safe, welcoming, and nurturing environment. How is that happening if some of these communities are not holding it in the school?
Sure. So the programs have existed for about 40 years in the state of Massachusetts, and they are done in schools and outside of schools across the entire state. The majority of the CFCE programs that happen away from sort of resource-rich environments, so more suburban, more rural or regional school districts tend to be the sponsors and managers of the grant programming. So while I did hear you reference a few programs that are held outside of schools, there are actually several in the region that are held inside schools as well. So Triton Regional School District is managing this grant for the first time in a number of years. For many years, it was a nonprofit out of Haverhill that managed the grant, and did involve the communities in the area a little bit, but not all that much. And then we were fortunate enough to be invited by Triton to take part, and they asked, would we be interested in having some of the programming in our schools? And considering the last few years and the difficulties we've had engaging some of the younger students coming into kindergarten around age 5, and their decreased, post-COVID, their decreased engagement in social activities, in some of those early learning experiences that had been going on before, we thought that was a great idea. So we were very grateful to be able to open up and partner with Triton and to be able to host some of the programs. And some of the programs, I did want to correct thing, Merrimack will be hosting some of them as well at the Sweetser too. So.
How do we opt out?
Well, if you would have to speak to the superintendent's office about your displeasure if you don't want to participate, and ask for the superintendent's office to reconsider.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, if the town objected to the program, contact superintendent's office to opt out. And who is that? Is that parents or is that the Board of Selectmen?
So anyone who has a concern about anything related to education in the schools should contact teacher, principal, superintendent's office, and if they're not satisfied with the response from the superintendent's office, they can speak to their school board members. I think Ms. Castronellis, appropriately identified that the Groveland Select Board is not necessarily the right place for this conversation. But I understand people came here, and I understand you need to feel like you're responsive in hearing folks. So when people have concerns, be it a citizen or a select board member, contact the superintendent's office and have that conversation. I had probably about 7 or 8 different phone calls and conversations with parents who expressed concern. Most of them felt fine afterwards and were okay with it. 1 or 2 did not. A few called with just simple questions too. So.
Okay, I'm all set for now.
Okay. Mark?
Well, I don't want to see the program get canceled. I think it's just the security part of it. And, we need to kind of, whether it's a police detail, changing the times or the location, I think that's the bigger issue of his, I don't have kids, but it would definitely concern me the way everything kind of started out here. So how could we get the school board and the parents to come up to, with a resolution to fix this and make it safer, make people, feel more comfortable about it is pretty much the main issue, I think. But, can we?
Are you asking a question, or is it?
Well, I didn't really know how to. No, I'm not really asking a question. I'm just kind of making a statement. I think that's the bigger issue here. It's not really, I don't want to cancel it, but it's just,
Right.
we got to.
Well, is there an
Works
option to
together.
put it after the school day?
So we think during the school day is very appropriate, and we do not have the same concerns that have been expressed here tonight about the security around.
Okay, but is after the school day is an option?
I think the people running the program would prefer during the school day, as would we. We think it's a good opportunity to engage the community into the schools during the school day.
So the question, though, is even if it's not?
I don't know
an
that I
option-
can answer whether it's an option or not. I don't know what the programming schedule would permit. They asked for it to be during the school day. We thought that was a good idea. I don't know that I can give you a precise answer to your question of
Okay,
whether it
so-
could or could not be.
Well, in Merrimack, it's at the library, it's not at the school.
No, we're scheduling them at the school, so I'm not clear where that, maybe they're doing some programming at the library, but we'll be scheduling some at the school as well. Not scheduled yet. It's probably not on that calendar that you
It
have in
is.
front of you.
At the library.
The ones being held in the school are not on that calendar yet.
Okay.
That will be happening, though.
So you said that, for people to go to their teacher, then to the principal, then to.
Superintendent's office,
And the
and whether that be
superintendent.
me or the superintendent who
Okay,
responds. Yep.
so I guess what I'm seeing or what I'm hearing is that I think these steps have all been followed. and
I would
the un-
argue some have not. In
Okay.
particular, I know there were a few folks here tonight. I don't believe I had conversations or communications with
Okay.
them, so.
All right. Again, I'm a career transfer person, but I'm a public school teacher, and security's everything right now, unfortunately. It's everything. So making sure that something is secure is kind of the most important part of the school day, right? I guess that's where I come from, or what I look at is then you have a group in there that's not trained in the protocols. So even if a small issue happens and the school executes one of its protocols, what are they going to do? I don't know. I just feel like maybe starting outside of the school and get it going, and then think about more.
With all due
about-
respect,
Yeah.
this is not for my conversation to have with
Oh, okay, you don't want to have it
So-
here. I got you. Okay. I get it. I thought you did. Okay. Jason, do you have any questions or concerns?
No, I don't. I put a lot of faith into Dr. B. I know him through my girlfriend's son, who's spent a lot of time speaking with Dr. B and working with Dr. B. And when it comes to safety and how he reacts to things, it's always with a great deal of respect and concern for the children on all aspects. So I put a lot of trust into his decisions. And if it's something that he's worked out with, I would support him myself. So thank you for coming and saying the other side of the story, just because we often only hear one side of the story. So
I would offer there's more, but there's no need to discuss it.
it is important to try to get both sides of the story before making a decision. So thank you.
But I may make it clear again, we're not here to make a decision tonight. So that was just an
Nope, just my
information.
personal opinion.
Yep. Okay, and Becky?
Well, I know we don't have any authority, but I think it's important to hear what you had said, the levels of, if there's concerns. I think it's important, it's out there in the public for people to know who to go to. I echo the same as Jason with Dr. Bartholomew. I know he cares about the students, he cares about this community, he's from this community. So I do have a lot of faith in that. I just hope that parents with concerns, and I'm a parent, so I do get it, I absolutely get it. If they can take the steps and actually have some sort of, something where everyone feels good about it. What that is, it's not my place to say, right? But I'm just happy that you're here to at least let them know, these are the steps you can take, and let's see what we can do. Yeah, thank you.
I think that's everything.
Thank you.
Are we all set? Okay. So thank you for coming. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Dr. Conway. Get the name right. And we're going to move on. So we now have another cricket field proposal. And it is down on Center Street. And I guess just to lay out, maybe our town administrator can tell us, the concern would be like, we know there's a proposal in the works for doing something with that land at some point, and it's not that far off that might happen. Would you like to speak to that?
So we had originally received a grant from Mass Development to pursue a feasibility study for the potential use of 150 Center Street. We conducted a initial assessment with Niche Engineering, as well as Innes Associates and RKG, who provided a report and presentation to the select board, I want to say last year. And as part of that initiative, we went forward with the next step, which is a request for expression of interest. And we were successful in receiving that grant from Mass Development for about $19,000. And that will allow for us to move forward with a consultant that will explore potential developers and/or those interested in potentially using the land, so we can get a better understanding of whether or not there is any profit that we can make from the sale of the land or lease of the land, or what that would look like in terms of the split between potential commercial, mixed use, residential, and what would be feasible for somebody to look into that property. So with the initial permit that was granted to the applicant for the use of the cricket field, it was always on a year-to-year basis. So we have explicitly stated that they may use the field for 1 year. They are now coming before us and would like to establish a second field on the other portion of 150 Center Street. So it is only requested, if the board would like to move forward, that we still put the same stipulation that it be on a year-to-year basis. They have provided some additional information, which you'll find in your packet, that details the area that they're looking to utilize, as well as the parking location, because we do know that that was an issue. This particular group has been fantastic to work with. They've been great at providing additional information about the use of the porta potties, the locking of the gate, We did have another group that was in there that we experienced some issues. They weren't locking the gate, they were cutting the locks. There was no place to use the facilities, there was dumping on the ground. But this group has been great. They're willing to work with us, and their proposal is again attached in your packet.
So has everyone had time to look at it and review it? So the thought would be to grant, if we decided to grant a one-year use, making specific to 1 year and making it clear that beyond that 1 year, we can't commit until that year rolls forward, right? That's it? Because of the request for proposals that we put out for that property. Yes,
I think we should add the same stipulations as we did on the first one, that if it ceases to be used as a cricket court, it'll be returned to the original property. In other words, dig up the pitching area. We had that added on to the other one, and this, I think this should be one of the stipulations also, that they return the property as it was before they added this.
okay. Does anybody have any other comments on it? Yes?
Yeah, I was wondering, the, one piece was asking the town to clear the ground of 400-foot radius. I was wondering what that looked like. Does this need to involve the Conservation Commission? Based on the image that they had, it was hard to tell, are those trees or is that grass? But in the email itself, it mentioned, where was it? Number 3, we just requested town to clear a ground of 400-foot radius for the second ground. So just wondering what that,
So I hadn't explored exactly what they would
Okay.
request. We'd have to take a look at that more closely. I mean, as Select Board Watson was saying, I was thinking that we would go forward with the same process we did for the other field, which is that we did nothing. We don't clear anything.
Right.
We did not provide any resources. It is not something that we currently have. It's not something that we currently utilize. And obviously, any type of cutting and removal of brush or trees would need to be vetted to make sure that it wasn't jurisdictional and needed any additional approval from the Conservation Commission.
yep. So is that something that would be a cost to us then, based on their ask? Because they're asking the town to clear it.
I think that's just their way they're phrasing it. I
Is
think
it?
they're asking permission to clear it.
Okay.
Am I, is anybody else reading it that way, the way I read it?
I'm reading it the way Rebecca's.
Oh, okay, I read it that they're asking our permission to clear 400. You think they're asking us to clear that space?
I believe that that's what's being requested, yes. I mean, and this is just a first phase. Essentially, what happens is that they provide a booking request through our online field use permit process, and the reason that this was brought before you is because the field doesn't exist. So this is not necessarily to approve this permit,
Right.
but it is in fact to see whether or not the select board would even entertain providing an additional field, so that they would be able to provide additional details as to how that would go into place. But I didn't want them to go through the process of putting something together if the select board said, no, we won't even entertain a second field. So this is just the initial conversation. This isn't necessarily a permit approval or use of property approval at this point in time.
Okay, but they, so they are asking us to do it, because they said, we just request the town to clear. I was not quite sure what they were saying. You think they want us to clear land for them?
That's what it appears, but we could
Oh.
ask for clarification, obviously.
I mean, I think it's just a matter of getting like a brush hog and mowing over the, little weeds and everything. But I don't feel like we should have to pay, us pay for that. I think we could, as long as conservation's good with it, have them hire a company to do it.
As they do for the field that they currently have.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I
We
mean,
didn't do anything. Okay, okay.
I have no problem with them using the land as long as we're not,
I guess that's why it's on our agendas. This is general consensus. Does anybody have a big concern? As long as we stipulate that, 1, it's just for 1 year. 2, we're not responsible to do any of the work. 3, at the end of the year, if we say so, it has to be restored to its original.
and approval from conservation, just to make sure,
right,
Okay.
because
The turtles.
there is a few wet
The
spots.
turtle.
the turtles.
The turtle. Okay, so we want, from us then tonight, the consensus is we want more clarification, right? To make sure they're asking us to do the 400? And what's our consensus on us doing it?
I don't think the town should have to pay.
Okay,
for
so
it.
we don't really want clarification on that. We want to say, yeah, no, right?
I mean,
Is that kind of where we are on
The
that?
way I feel is just, as long as we get approval from conservation, you guys can do it with all those stipulations, but we're not gonna mow it down for you, and
But to get approval from conservation, don't they have to file something, right?
For an application, if they were to move forward with any type of disturbance to the area.
Right, now, did they do
Correct.
that the last time, too?
There was no disturbance to the area.
Okay. So this is kind of a different thing. This may be more complex, right?
It could be. But again, the way that we put it on the agenda was cricket field proposal. So it's not for them to utilize the space, but whether or not you would even entertain them to utilize the space. And I can bring back all of these questions to them to see what they have to say and whether or not they're willing to make that investment as well.
yeah.
So if they're willing to do all that stuff that was said
Yeah, as long
for
as-
1 year, we don't want to pull the rug out from under them if they said,
Yeah,
yes.
as long as they agree to all that,
Okay.
I'm fine
Is
with
that,
that.
Jason, you're okay?
Yeah, how much do they pay for the first field per year?
Let me look that up quickly. So the fee is based upon the use of the field, and since they're not a resident, they're charged a higher rate. They extended their permit a couple of times, so let me just pull up. Spreadsheet. But I think it was close to $5,000. So for FY '24, the league shall submit a field use of $1,600. Breakdown is as follows: $50 per times 8 hours for $400 times 4 games. And that was their first permit. I'm struggling to find the rest of the year. But it's based upon the hourly use, and the cricket games are a lot longer than your standard baseball or lacrosse type
okay.
of game.
Okay.
So that's why we reduced the field in half, the fee in half, because the fee is typically $100, and we reduced it to $50 because of,
How
again,
long the game
the amount of
goes.
money they'd have to pay in order to use the
Okay.
field.
And they provide the porta potty, they provide the cleanup.
And we require them to lock it so that nobody can utilize it. We make sure that they can lock the gate so that we don't have any vehicles driving in there. We do have protected habitat and a conservation restricted area back there as well. So we do try and make sure that
Okay.
there's limited access to that particular area.
Okay, so it sounds like they would have to file a permit with the Conservation Commission in order to get anywhere on this.
Depending on the work that they propose, yes.
Okay.
And the other piece too, they mentioned getting a discount for the second field, so it sounds like for the first field, it's already discounted, right, because of the.
Right,
the
that's why I
lead
would
time.
think,
Yeah.
why, we shouldn't have to discount a second time. I mean, we've already cut it in half. right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're giving them use of this land and parking and all that other stuff. So, I mean, imagine compared to private, renting it privately elsewhere, it'd be more expensive maybe, unless you feel otherwise. I mean, if you go out to rent space at any of these sports centers, I imagine it's fairly pricey. Yeah,
So we require a fee for the use of all of our fields.
Right.
We have a fee use schedule that's based upon whether or not it's a Pentucket youth field, youth group, which is
Yeah.
very low for the entire season, and then non-resident groups who utilize the fields, as well as some of the clinics that we've seen happen over at the
Right.
Shanahan, as well as the Pines Recreation Area for some of the basketball use that we're getting more activity at.
Right, but they're asking for another discount over the discount we already gave them.
Correct. But again, the cricket games are 4 hours, not a standard, 2-hour game. But if the select board would like to, we don't have to offer them a discount at all.
Well, it certainly is a point of discussion and negotiation on your half if it's something we decided to move forward with. I mean, I certainly am not opposed to exploring it and finding out about whether or not they can clear that area. As far as I know, it's just brush. It used to be a field that's just overgrown. They used to use it for football.
Right.
And I don't think there's anywhere close to the area that's wet or anything else that they're looking at using. So, I mean, if the conservation writes off on it and it's a way for the town to generate a little bit more money for maintenance around town, I think it's a great thing until we utilize it for something else.
Right, but I don't think we should lead them on to think that there's another discount involved, just because I'm assuming they all pay fees and everything to be part of this league, so there's money involved. And we're giving them a pretty good deal on use of a piece of land that's flat, level, easy to get in and out of. Yeah, okay. So I guess the sense is go forward.
If the board agrees that they would entertain an additional field, I will gather all of the information and answers to the questions that were proposed tonight and bring that back to the board so that we can give them a general idea of what it would be
Okay.
moving forward.
Do you want a vote of consensus or what?
A vote of consensus would be appreciated.
Okay, someone want to make a motion, a vote of consensus to allow this to proceed forward?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? That's unanimous. Okay, thank you. So next is the liquor license application. Thank you. And my understanding is that we've just corrected the date of birth over what we saw last meeting.
That's correct.
So there shouldn't be anything new for the board. Do we want to make a motion to approve this license?
Make a motion to approve the new license for Taka Corona as presented in our packet.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? There be none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, great. Thanks. We'll move on. We're going well. Just a second. So, next is the National Grid project. So, they have answered all of our questions at this point, is that right? Yes?
I'm sorry?
National Grid. So they're just looking for us to give an approval to install a low-pressure relief valve and parking. They're going to give us or build for us a parking lot for the trail as part of this deal, if you want to call it that. And they will build that building, and they will put a fence around it as well, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And did we put in, will they be connected so that they will, I know they get notified if there's a release. Will they also notify our police and fire? Can we put that in when we approve it?
I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's something that we can ask.
Okay, because that was my only other, I read some towns are asking for that. I think that makes sense. If that relief valve opens, we would want our police and fire to be aware of that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's safety protocol that they would be required to alert them, but I'm just not sure what that protocol is.
That's the,
That's why I just don't want to speak out of turn.
right, I know. So can we vote it and say that we want that protocol in it? Mm-hmm. Okay, So can someone make a motion to vote to approve the installation of the low-pressure relief valve and parking at 452 Main Street, with the stipulation they'll notify police and fire in the event it activates?
So motioned.
Thank you. I like it. We got a second on that? All right, any more discussion? Want to watch the video of this valve again? No?
No,
Okay.
no.
I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's approved. Okay. And next, we have an intermunicipal agreement with the City of Haverhill, and I see that our Superintendent of Water and Sewer, Colin Stokes, is here. So this is for water and sewer to do a feasibility study through Haverhill. It's not that we're going to go for, it's just the feasibility study at this point, right? Why, well, I hate, yeah. Yeah.
So, always willing to answer your questions.
Yeah,
We weren't really looking for a discussion for this because it was a board item that my board has already voted on.
okay.
But the town lawyer said that you guys have to sign the agreement, so here we are.
Yeah,
Essentially, we're looking for, our engineers are working with the City of Haverhill's engineers to see what it would look like if we purchase water from them. So we need to do, the engineers need to do engineering things,
yep,
looking at hydraulics of it, if we would need booster pumps. We know we would need some chemical addition, or chemical changing of the water composition at the town line, so
okay.
what that would look like, talking with DEP, seeing what they're gonna require.
Okay,
So this is just a study to see what direction we need to go in, as a town. That needs your signature for us to send
yeah.
them money.
Well, it makes sense to find out what our options are. Anybody have any concerns with just doing the study?
No.
It makes sense. I need a motion on that then, to approve the intermunicipal agreement with the City of Haverhill.
I
Go ahead.
make a motion that we approve the intermunicipal agreement with the City of Haverhill.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, and then we have initial review of the proposed capital improvement project request. This is discussion only, and we have Jonathan Seymour here, who's in charge of the facilities at the schools, because some of these projects are at the schools, right?
So,
Yep.
yes, essentially, if I may interject and introduce Mr. Seymour, we have been working to assemble the capital improvement plan for fiscal year 2026. So we sent out a request to the departments asking them to submit their requests that meet the thresholds under our capital improvement bylaw. They have done so, those have been returned to us, so we are analyzing them a little bit more closely to see what funding sources would be available in order to push those projects forward. They are being incorporated with the prior approved plan from fiscal year '25. We do have a list of projects that we had identified as community needs, but did not have enough funding and/or could identify funding sources to bring those projects forward. As part of the capital improvement plan, we are responsible for the facility at Bagnell Elementary School. So we work very closely with Jonathan and his team over at PRSD to identify any of the building needs and try to move forward. On the last fiscal year, for fiscal year 2025, we had monies available that we put forward for the entryway and the driveway entryway and the parking lot in the front, as well as the sidewalk connections. Those are all currently in process. We're working with our new projects and programs manager and coordinating those efforts and making sure there's limited impact for the students. And as part of an initial meeting, we had discussed some of the projects that you'll see up on the screen. So without further ado, I don't know if you want to provide some additional information about some of the projects that we had put forward.
Yeah, if you'd like me to.
Sure.
Yeah, hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Library.
So just want to introduce myself, Jonathan Seymour, Executive Director of Operations for the Pentucket School District. And I know many of you, but I don't know all of you, so it's nice to see you all here tonight. Yeah, as Rebecca said, we've had some introductory conversations so far about the FY26 and identifying some capital projects that we thought were both needed, but also would really have a positive impact on the school. And you can see there's a couple of things here related to some flooring. Actually, all of these are related to flooring. You know, there's some asbestos glue in a lot of the tile in some of the classrooms. I think about half of the school has already been abated, and the other half of the school is sort of in progress. And it's one of these things where it's encapsulated and it's not dangerous as is, but when you can chip away at it and you can do a room or two a year, before you know it, you turn around and you've taken care of the project. So that's what this refers to. That takes care of about 2 classrooms worth. And then there's just old carpet in many spaces, the library and some of the other area adjacent rooms in that part of the building that is quite old and it's really worn out. And so that would really take care of both removing those, replacing it with tile, and then in this case, the library would be sort of a combination, and the PTO is actually interested in sort of participating in that and doing some other improvements at the same time. So it's one of these things where the investment of 16 is going to be matched with some school funds and with some PTO funds to really try to just renovate and transform that space. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Again, it's focused on flooring, and as Rebecca said, we talked about some paving things last year that, again, it's in the works with some other projects within the town that are also related to paving. So that's kind of the summary.
Yeah. So the carpet removal, you don't feel like there'll be any asbestos stuff on?
No, we don't. There is underneath that, it is no asbestos. It's really
Okay.
concrete. In fact,
Okay.
we removed right at the end of the summer a small classroom. We removed the tile. We removed the carpet, and then over the Columbus Day weekend had tile installed. It was a smaller job. It didn't quite reach these levels.
Yeah.
And it's just simply concrete underneath that. So you just need to do a really good scrub of it and, prep it for the flooring. Yeah, and just to reiterate, right, so asbestos can kind of be like an alarming word. Anytime that it's in the schools and it's encapsulated, in other words, it's under tile, it's under multiple layers of wax, as long as it stays in that condition, it's really not a danger.
Okay.
But this is a condition in really all of the schools, and what we try to do is just sort of, if we can allocate a little bit of money each year,
Yeah.
it takes about $16,000 to remove, abate, and then replace a classroom's worth. And again, if you kind of do a few at a time, you turn around and you're like, oh, it's all gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No.
No?
All right.
Good.
Thank
After
you.
this, how many classrooms? We've done our hallways, right? Or not?
Yeah. There, like I said, probably more than half of the school has already been done, whether it's hallways or classrooms in particular. And I
Okay.
think there's probably about, I think actually you asked me this question, and I said it was maybe 17 or so
Yes.
classrooms and a couple of small offices that are remaining. So that's about half.
Okay.
And the corridors themselves have already been done as well.
That's what I
So,
thought. Okay.
Yeah, corridors have been done in a lot of the classrooms as well.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if the board has any other questions in regards to some of the other requests that came back through from the departments. You'll see that there's the standard request for the police cruiser, the library shelving replacement. That was an initiative that was started last fiscal year. It was proposed that this be a phased approach so that we can tackle the shelving. The shelving units need to be put together in-house, and there is some reorganization efforts happening with that as well. So to make it phased makes it a little bit more feasible. The library trustees are actually investing in additional furniture for the library as well, so it's really coming together, and there's been a lot of improvements, and we're excited to see that all take form. And from the highway department, the track loader was a fiscal year '25 request. It is requested that that be placed back on, as well as a newer item, which is the asphalt hot box, which I believe is something that they would like to put forward in initial conversations with the Water and Sewer Commission. It might be something that they might need to utilize as well, so we could potentially, as we had done for another piece of equipment, see if there's a way for us to both purchase that together and enhance our capacity there. And then the last thing under the highway department budget is you'll see, or the highway department request is you'll see the carts. That's actually in regards to the trash and recycling committee, and it's highlighted just because it hasn't necessarily been finalized. It's been a lot of the conversation that we've been having moving forward about whether or not we need to move forward with automatic trash pickup instead of the manual. That is the way that the industry is going, and we will continue to see our contract, regardless if we go out to bid, increase if we do not move to automated. So it is something that we need to consider, and it is something that we need to consider as to putting in the contract, which would potentially provide, make the contract more costly. We need to consider whether or not we lease the carts, whether or not we buy them outright. There's a lot of pros and cons to be weighed in with a lot of these different options that are before us. But one of the issues that has been discussed has been potentially trying to open our current contract and to see whether or not there's any realized savings that we could achieve from doing so, and put that towards the purchase of carts, and then utilize some remaining monies from our reserves to purchase the other half of that, and that would be both a trash cart as well as a recycling cart. Again, the Trash and Recycling Committee are still in the process of discussions. Nothing's been finalized, but as we go through the capital improvement process, and due to the price and to the way that it would be rolled out, if you will, as part of a capital improvement plan, it was something that we wanted to include as part of the projects for consideration.
So comments from the committee on that? This is just a discussion list. We don't need to vote on it. We don't even have to have consensus on it. It's just here for if you have any things that jump to your front of your mind right now on it. If not,
No, in terms of the trash contract, I mean, that's something that we are going to have to be discussing here shortly. And,
of course, we're meeting tomorrow
I
night.
know I've been following Newburyport, but they just finalized their contract, and,
Oh, they did?
oh yeah, and they reduced their barrels substantially. And they're all automated, and they're pushing recycling, and it's just what all the towns and cities are trying to do, because it's become so outrageous, the price and the cost, and then the cost to maintain the landfills.
Right. So, yeah, the hauling cost and doing the manual pickup is extraordinarily expensive. And we do need to move off of that in the new contract. So that, I think it's very forward-looking to put it into our capital thing and to consider it. And so, I'm not sure at one point it'll get onto the select board agenda from the trash committee. Maybe we can talk about it again tomorrow night. We've been going back and forth, trying to get like more specific information so that when we bring it to you, we're not like going waffling. But it's a lot more complex than we realized on the outset. You know, as town administrator said, you can buy them, you can lease them, you can have the company buy them and lease them to you. I mean, there's all kinds of options. So you want to make sure you've looked at all these options before you decide, just to make sure you understand more what you're getting into. And then the future of our contract will be stepping away from the manual pickup to the automated pickup. That, I think, is definite. But we will have to bring that forward here if we're going to get it funded at all by the town. Okay, so thanks for putting it on the list. I didn't think of it. Okay, is that all that we have? This is our whole list?
Yes.
It's
Of the
lovely to be this
fiscal
short.
year 26.
I like that we don't have like a million pieces of equipment on there. That's great. Very reasonable and seems to be well prioritized. So if we don't have any more questions on it, we'll move on to the end of the agenda, I think. That's where we're going to be.
This is where
Yes,
we leave.
and this is where there's a memorandum of agreement with the 11 Whittier Regional Technical School Committee, member communities, and as I've said before, I am employed by Whittier Regional School, so I do have to recuse myself and turn over this meeting to our accomplished co-chair there, Jason.
Thank you.
Yes, so you'll be in good hands, and let me know when you're done.
Will do. I know that this is in our packet, but has everybody had a chance to read it?
Yes.
And I know, Ed, you were part of the committee to talk about certain things with the on the regional agreement as appointed by the board. Have you had any updates or anything?
No, I agree with about everything on there.
Okay. I know I'm not a big fan of the lawyer speak as it reads, because it just is annoying to read for me. But it has to be that way. And what this actually is going to do is going to help the School Board Association continue to move forward and working with us and all 11 communities to push for a joint school between the Northeast Community College and Whittier, and using that campus. And without something like this from all 11 communities, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to continue to move forward and without the show of support. So I would look for a motion to sign off on this and send it back to them.
I'll make the motion to approve it, send it back. Approve it.
I'll second that.
You'll second that? Any further discussion?
Hell of a motion.
No, I'm just happy that this is going to be moving forward. I think it's important to realign and get us on the same page.
We got to do what we can do. Unfortunately, there's 11 other communities that still have to sign this and
Right.
show support,
Will
so.
we be the first?
No, I don't think we're going to be the first,
All right.
but we definitely won't be the last,
All
for
right,
sure.
all right. We'll be the game changers.
So we'll see what happens, and hopefully if any of the communities are opposed to this, they might change their mind, because if the School Board Association does move on to a different school,
Right.
that would prolong this process and definitely drive up the costs.
Mm-hmm.
As any contractor understands, the longer you push something out,
Yeah.
the rate at which it can grow can be very costly. So I'll take a vote. Great. Now we get Kathy. That was quick and easy.
I can talk more if you'd like.
Barely had time to watch anything on my Great. So we're back in session. Let me just open up our agenda again. I think that will be possibly time for our town administrator. Let's see. Oh, we do have minutes today? Minutes from September 16th. Can we get a motion to approve those? Everyone had time to read them?
Yeah, they look to be in order, and I'll move for passage.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? There be none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Any old or unfinished business? No, as I said previously, the Trash and Recycling Committee is meeting tomorrow. Maybe we can have a more definitive idea of when we'd be able to bring forward some information, a packet of information to the board. Even if it's not a decision, it might just be good to get you some of the information. I just want to have time to whittle it down to the important stuff. And is there anything not reasonably anticipated? Not that I'm aware of, okay. And now it's time at town administrator's time.
So for town hall operations, work continues on the 2024 town report. Preparations for the FY 2026 budget has begun. I just recently, this afternoon, sent out the budget schedule to the departments. Efforts are underway to set the tax rate, and I'm in the process of finalizing the October 2024 town administrator newsletter. For project requests and residential concerns, we've had two come in. One was focused on the crosswalk painting over at Washington where it meets Salem Street, as well as Main Street near Washington Street. I did have an opportunity to speak with our programs and projects manager, and we do believe this is something that we can try and accommodate when we do the line painting, which we hope to tackle in the spring. So it is something that we placed on our project list, and again, hopefully we'll be able to take care of. The second is a driveway apron repair associated with the Chestnut and Union Street project. We have had communication with both the Water and Sewer Department as well as the Highway Department, and we, again, believe this is something that we can handle in-house, so hopefully that's something that we can do, weather permitting. For field use and property use permits, I received none. For important upcoming dates, just to let everyone know, the trick-or-treat hours are Thursday, October 31st from 5:30 PM to 7:30 PM. Town Hall will be closed on November 11th in observance of Veterans Day. There will also be a Veterans Day ceremony here, well, not here, but at the Central Fire Station on November 11th at 10:30 a.m. And also in your packet, you'll find in the end, there is a housing public workshop, which will be held on November 21st from 6:30 PM to 8:30 PM here at Town Hall. And that is going to be focused on MBTA 3A housing as well as initiatives as well as just housing in general. For grants, the town was successful in receiving monies through the pavement program management grant through Mass DOT. So they allow for paving of state numbered routes that are owned by a municipality. So we will be tackling Route 97 up by the portion where we just recently had the sidewalk put in. For procurement, the Groveland Recreation Access Improvements contract was awarded to Belco Landscaping. So we have our kickoff meeting and we're excited to work with them and see if we can get those projects completed in a timely manner, that being the Shanahan parking lot as well as the Pines connection from Town Hall. For technical review conferences, none were held during the last time we met. For community preservation projects, now that we have the Recreation Committee, that's very active and eager, hoping to be finalizing all of the recreation projects that I am working on and leave it in good hands of the Recreation Committee to continue those tasks and move forward. I will continue to look at affordable housing initiatives as my role as town planner. But as the fiscal oversight as well as the chief procurement officer, I will continue to be involved with all of those projects and will update the select board as they progress. For 2025, I have 2 draft proposals that I'll be making to the CPC, one of which is a repair for housing for those with income eligibility here in Groveland, as well as looking at a way to maximize the funds that are set aside under our inclusionary bylaw. We had talked about this, I think, when we were talking about the housing production plan and the housing trust that doesn't technically exist, and how we can access those funds and move forward with affordable housing needs in Groveland. For the tennis pickleball courts, the fence is slated to be installed this week, and we expect the project to again be completed next month, so hopefully things continue to move in the right direction. Unfortunately, for another project that we had the splash pad at the Pines Recreation area. We recently found out that working with a consultant that the proposed budget is insufficient to cover the majority of the cost of the project. So we had received an updated quote that involved a lot more of the work that would be associated. It did seem a little too good to be true based upon the price that they provided, but upon looking at the site in general and what would be required to make that happen, it was far more costly. So we did provide that information to the Recreation Committee if there is an interest to move forward, so they do have all of that information available to them. Again, if that's something that the community would like to move forward with, that will be available to them. But at that point in time, I'll be making a recommendation to close out the project, and we'll be presenting such to the Community Preservation Committee at their next meeting. And then one other thing that came to my attention just before the meeting is that I was contacted by a building commissioner, and I just wanted to make sure that the board was aware that another building permit has been pulled for the development over at Sewell Street, so another building, that being another 48 units, as well as a clubhouse. The permit has not been issued at this point in time. There are still some outstanding items, but that should be expected, and I just wanted to keep the board updated since at the last meeting, when there was a building permit pulled, it was requested that I do so for that particular development. And then the rest of the memo you'll see just includes meetings, events, and seminars. So if there's anything that the board would like me to elaborate on, I'm more than happy to do so.
How many permits would that make once this next one goes through?
So it would be 48 units plus another 48 units. It
Yeah,
would not
yeah.
total the 192.
Okay. But we're halfway. We're about halfway, yeah. Okay. So they're making progress on that, so, and that's, yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. Right? This is expected. And I think I asked you before, but we have not heard back from the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, that's what they
Correct.
go by?
We have not heard
We
back.
have not heard one way or the other in response to the letter that we sent to them. So will they respond? When they approve, will they copy us if they approve?
Yes, we will be notified of the approval.
Okay, so we haven't received anything on it, so we're assuming they have done nothing on it at this time. So we're just in a waiting, holding pattern until then. Right, the zoning board is doing nothing until it's presented before them. That would be the next step?
Correct. Once
Okay.
if they receive a site approval letter, the next step is to file a comprehensive permit with the zoning board of appeals.
Okay. So, just so everybody's, get that out there in the open, everyone's clear. Because sometimes I think we forget where we are on all this stuff. There's a lot going on. And we appreciate that you keep us, I like this, and I like your short summary of it, because it helps focus us on the important things. So do we have any questions on the town administrators?
No.
No? Great. Okay, so we're on to select board time and reports. Becky, do you have anything?
Just for those that celebrate, have a safe Halloween. It's my favorite holiday, so
Oh.
enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Just have a happy and safe Halloween.
Mark?
Yeah, Pumpkin Fest was a heck of a time.
I heard, I missed the
A lot of
costume.
fun down there.
I heard so was in a costume.
So, yeah, you gotta watch out for those carrots. It's the only one I could come up with, I figured everybody'd get a laugh. Had a few kids make fun of me, but that's all right.
It was awesome.
Missed that.
Very good time, but
Yep, it looked well attended, well attended. Ed?
No, just to reiterate what Rebecca had mentioned about the Veterans Day ceremony Monday, November 11th, 10:30 inside the fire station on Main Street. Just so everybody knows. I don't know if everybody got that correspondence, but it will be 10:30 on
Yep.
November 11th.
That's good. So if, this would also be a time, if there's something that you're thinking about that should be on our next agenda, you can feel free to say it now or to give it to Rebecca or myself. It doesn't matter which way you go on it. Yes.
Based upon the correspondence that we got, I think there ought to be an agenda item on that.
The email from Christina?
Yes.
I can look into that and see what that would be like. I'm just not certain that that email by itself constitutes an agenda item, but I can look into it. Anything else? No, okay, so we do have correspondence from Christina Manicus concerning the site visit at 36 Garrison by the Conservation Commission. And our next meeting will be on Tuesday, November the 12th, at 6:30 PM. Okay. Have a great Halloween. It's going to be warm. Take a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to
We
adjourn
just sit here.
at 8:08.
Okay, and get a second on that?
I'll
Did you?
second.
Thank you. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.